Hello and good evening. I'm Pastor John from Livingstones and Sunland, Tujunga Seventh-day Adventist Churches, and we have a message today, God's political statement. It is time for the call to prayer. There are these things that we are told not to do. You know, back when I was young, there were two things you don't talk with people about, religion or politics. Well, the funny thing is, as a pastor, I am a pastor, so I talk about religion, obviously. And so therefore, when you deal with the politics that was involved in the life of Jesus, sometimes you get people that don't understand exactly where you are, because all of us, no matter who we are, we come from our background. What we've heard, what we've believed is always in the back. And when we hear certain buzzwords, we jump to conclusions. Well, today, let's go real quickly from Acts to Daniel chapter 2. Now, I have it in my Bible here, Daniel chapter 2, but I'm not going to read through it, but I'm going to talk about Daniel chapter 2 for a second. This is where God created a political statement. And of course, that political statement doesn't bother us right now. You know why? Because the politics were thousands of years ago. And so we have a statue that Nebuchadnezzar, he had a dream, and whether he didn't remember the dream or he didn't want to say the dream, there are two different schools of thought. The Bible has its own school of thought, obviously, but Daniel was given the vision or the dream by God, and also the interpretation. And this message that is given is not super political for us, because we don't live in Babylon. We don't live in Medo-Persia. Remember, the head of gold is Babylon. Thousands of years ago, it was around. Medo-Persia. We don't live in Medo-Persia. So we're not affected by that. Greece, we're not affected by Greece or the belly of brass. We're not affected by the legs of iron. Therefore, we can have a political point of view and everyone's happy. And then also we have here the feet of part iron and part clay. Now, we're in here somewhere. America is more of the iron, one of the iron nations. Some would say that we're becoming more like clay, but that's their opinion. But the thing is some iron and some clay. And God had history right here. And then he had something else that was a stone uncut out by human hands. And this stone came and wiped the image out. And so we, as Christians today, or as Seventh-day Adventists today, we don't see any political statement in it that's anything like that can be divisive, because this isn't America. That's not America. That's not America. That's not America. And down here, maybe one of the parts is America, but it really doesn't say much. But, this stone hitting it, we want to think that our own political issues or our background or our thoughts are what really matters. And we try to take our politics and throw it onto the Bible. But the truth is, the Bible doesn't care about our politics. The Bible and God doesn't care about Republican nor Democrat. He doesn't care about conservative or liberal. He cares about one thing: human beings. One thing that's missing from all of this is people. Yes, there are people that are in the statue, but actually, to tell you the truth, it is people who worship the statue. Jesus is telling us, don't worship the statue. Don't worship your government or your political system, whether you're on the left or the right. There's only one political statement that will come forward. You must put your trust in the stone uncut out by human hands. See, at the time of Stephen, the Sadducees were much like the political left today. And that political left, kind of religious left, I'm talking about religious, let's get out of all the capital, even though there was a melding in the time of Jesus, but the Sanhedrin was a political and a religious organization. In our government, it's not supposed to be that way. Though it sometimes is, the way people operate, it should not be, right? So the religious left is the side that basically kind of believes in God, but really religion is a cultural thing. So we live our lives like this, and there may or may not be a God. I don't really know, I don't care. That's the religious left. On the right, on the other hand, they do the same thing. On the right, they will use the Word of God or some written thing. It's more conservative religious. So you use the Bible, or maybe in the case of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, some people will use Ellen White and will point to things in the past that tell us about what we're supposed to do today. And that also can be very beastly or very like an image as well, because the God is whoever interprets that word. So you see, on the left and the right are very much the same, but the right definitely does believe that there is a God. Now, how they use it is different. On the left, you have a question of whether or not you believe in a God, but there is an idea of that this is our established religion. And that's how it was. We had the Sadducees on this side and the Pharisees on this side. The Sadducees were in charge. Sorry, let me not use Jesus as the Sadducees. The Sadducees on the one side were the ones who were in charge of the monetary system. They were in charge of the temple. They were appointed there by the governor, who was Roman. They were intermingled with politics all over the place. In fact, Caiaphas, the high priest, we found his ossuary box only maybe about 15 years ago. His ossuary box was found over in Jerusalem. And Caiaphas, the high priest, which many people said didn't exist, but now we're shown that the Bible's true, these people do exist. This guy had a denarii, a coin with a Greek god on it, put in his mouth. And that was a Greek tradition to get across river Styx in the afterlife. So, did he really believe in God of the Old Testament? No. This was only political for him. Yet on the other hand, the Pharisee on the other hand, was much like a man we're going to discover this next Sabbath, a man named Saul, or in Hebrew, Shaul. Shaul. That guy was a zealous man for the Bible. Every word of the Bible on the right, the Pharisees, every word mattered. But sometimes you can manipulate the word in the way you want it. See, the left and the right kind of have their issues, which, by the way, interestingly enough, the left and the right are kind of the same. I don't like to look at left and right as a straight line. Oh, I'm going to move to the right. Well, actually, it's your left. Sorry, I'm going to move to the right, right? No. And I'm going to move to the left. No, I kind of see it like a circle. When you move to the right, sometimes you go around the circle. You're moving so far to the right, you become a part of the left. Okay? And sometimes when you move to the left, you become so far, you start moving to the right, religiously and otherwise. This is the reason why I opt out. Republican, Democrat, we all make images out of things we love and people we like, and people we don't like, we put them on the other side. But you know what God does? He has a rock, uncut out by human hands, not of a political agenda that is made by human beings, but one that comes from God and He alone. This stone comes and it destroys the image, and that image is completely annihilated. Sorry, I got to do sound effects, right? You see, when we talk about the left and the right. We're talking about images. When we choose a side, really truly choose a side, it's good to have opinions and say my opinion is here and my opinion is there, but when we choose a side and say that the other side is demonic, evil, though we want to with all our hearts do that, because we're human, we are black and white as human beings. we really lock things down and we say those guys are bad or these guys are bad. And believe you me, the right does it and the left does it. And it's like the Zacks. You ever read the story of the Zacks? They both disagree with each other and they stand forever. Maybe I'll do that next week. I want to do the Zacks, but Dr. Zeus, they get a little upset when you start using their imagery. But the Zacks were the north-going Zack and the south-going Zack. They meet each other, and one won't go to this side or that side. I only go this way. And the other one says, I'm only go this way. And we all become just like the Zacks, standing there in perpetual anger toward our foe, when in actuality, they are not our foe. They are our brother. Jesus came to destroy all of that. The left and the right united to destroy Jesus. And as we're going to see on Sabbath, as Stephen spoke, the left and the right united to destroy Stephen. But there's one man that was on the far right. Not far right. The far right was the zealot. But like I said with the circle, sometimes the zealot moves itself all the way to the left, so hard to the right. And the Essenes sometimes were pulling so far to the left that they pulled to the right. So they had the war scrolls and everything too. So the political parties of Jesus' time were no different than today. A mirror of today. And I'm talking about religion, but also politics. I ask you, opt out. I am a pantocrat. I'm not a Republican nor a Democrat. I have ideas that come from one side and ideas that come from the other. But here's the problem with identifying with an idol in our lives. When you identify with that idol, as that idol begins to change, it tells you what to believe instead of you believing what God tells you to believe. A liberal back in the 60s was very different than today. A conservative back in the 60s was very different than today. Things change, don't they? So my answer for that is opt out. I choose the party that is uncut out by human hands. Pantocrat in Greek, the word pantokrator is the word we define as sovereign. He is our pantokrator. Follow Jesus and you will find joy. Okay, now down below there are links for you to be able to connect. We will have the call to prayer, the intercession in the next few minutes. So I hope to see you there. And remember, smash that like button. Force the algorithm to make sure your friends are able to see these videos. May God bless you all. See you very soon.